Joseph was an ordinary man who did extraordinary things to bring glory to God. We see early in Joseph's life in Genesis 37 he had dreams of what was to come, which God revealed to him. Unfortunately, Joseph's brothers weren't pleased with God selecting him for what was to come. His brothers were jealous of the fact that their father Jacob loved Joseph more than all his other children. Joseph's early adolescent years were filled with love from his father, and surely he learned about God from his father. At 17, it seemed that Joseph was faced with enduring an unspeakable act from his own brothers. It must have been a shock for him to have his own brothers turn on him and openly speak of killing him. It was an ultimate act of betrayal to throw Joseph into the well and bring him up only then to sell him into slavery. This was a definite turning of their backs and classifying him as good as dead. And they literally were saying, "We do not love you or want you around anymore." Now Joseph had to be a very godly man, not to build up bitterness and hatred toward his brothers. Instead, he chose to remain focused on the plans that God had revealed to him earlier in his dreams. And this can be assumed based upon Joseph's ability to interpret the dreams of others. But Joseph was already very, very faithful, and he was always very explicit to explain that the interpretations belonged to God and not to him. He was a very young man when he was sold by his brothers to the Ishmaelites, and then sold again into slavery in Egypt. Joseph was a hard worker and gained favor with Potiphar, an officer in Pharaoh's army and captain of his guard. And he proved to be a good man as he grew older and was favored by many people. But seemingly, yet again, Joseph had a run-in with evil, for Potiphar's wife had immoral intentions for Joseph, and she was constantly asking him, propositioning him to lie with her. Well, Joseph stayed true to God and chose to follow God's commandments and ran away from her temptations. But Potiphar's wife accused Joseph of forcing himself on her, which of course was not true. And Joseph must have cried out, "Lord, why is this unfairness being brought upon me?" While again he was suffering unjustly. He was thrown into prison for a number of years, but the Lord remained with Joseph and continued to help him prosper. Then, even while in captivity, he chose to serve God, not spending time blaming others or even talking evil of his brothers or of Potiphar's wife. He diligently went about everyday activities in anticipation of God answering his prayers. He showed compassion on two troubled cellmates and interpreted their dreams, and he only asked them to remember him to Pharaoh with kindness. Even then, Joseph had no mean or angry words to say about his brothers. He only said that he'd been stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and stated that he had done nothing to be put into prison. In this, he focused only on getting out of prison. He was not begrudging the unfairness of his situation or showing hostility. It was 2 additional years before God answered Joseph's prayer through the same avenue as it had been all started. Joseph was summoned to interpret Pharaoh's dream, and Pharaoh saw that God was with Joseph, and then, without even being aware of it, fulfilled God's plain and glorious plan. And God had revealed this plan, we see, to Joseph while he was still a child. Joseph later consoled and comforted his brothers with the words, "Now therefore be not angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life," Genesis 45:5, and also 50 verses 20 and 21. Friends, God is always in control. God knows the ways and hearts of man. He allows us to choose to be obedient or not. This ordinary man, Joseph, chose to obey God, and because of it, God remained faithful to him. And we can have great confidence in God's faithfulness too when we choose to follow his plan for our lives. If we do this, He will bless us and will lead us to heaven. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and may God bless you with a wonderful day.